What up, what up? Welcome back. In this video, I've got for you the top 6 mods to make your 350Z the best drift car for beginners. Let's jump into it. So I'm gonna count backwards. So I'm gonna start with the number 6 most important part, and that one is your steering wheel. There's a lot of brands out there. I personally run a D&D Performance steering wheel on mine. Steering wheels range from a lot of different price range. You got my steering wheel, which was about $120, and then you've got like Grip Royal steering wheels and 300s if you want custom steering wheels and whatnot. Who knows? There's so many different steering wheels out there. The reason you really want a steering wheel is because of the shapes and the sizes of them. A stock steering wheel can be extremely large, extremely wide for no reason and not fit right. You can get one with a deeper dish. It'll poke out a little further so it's closer to you. And then you could also go for a flat steering wheel like I am. I'm very short, so I need that flat steering wheel to be farther away from me. Along with your hub, I keep a thin hub. I'm short. It's got to stay as far away from me as possible. I run into problems with the turn signals, but that's about it. On some steering wheels, you'll have more of a drag style, which it'll have these flat spots on the sides, which is a grip, and that can really mess you up sometimes whenever you're in transition and just lightly touching the steering wheel, and it can kind of throw you off. It can grab your hand a little too soon, throw the car off. Anyways, let's jump on to the next one, and that is number 5, bucket seats. Bucket seats are so important. The one big thing I heard when I first started drifting is if you can't keep yourself still, you can't keep the car still. So if your body is not comfortably still in this crazy moving car, you're not going to be running, you're not going to be able to control the car very smoothly. A bucket seat squeezes your hips, squeezes your shoulders, it keeps you in there, and then you can get some harnesses and all that stuff to really hold you in tight, and that'll keep you still so that you can keep the car still. Now, there's so many different brands out there. You're from Sparco, from NRG, from Bride, from Status, all different types of brands. I personally run an NRG Prisma purple suede seat in my car. I personally love them. They're very budget friendly, running about $400 for a nice bucket seat. Before I ran the NRG, I was running these fake Brides off of eBay, and man, they are cheap, they flex. They'll get you started. They're super cheap on eBay. You could get 2 seats for about $600. That may be a little bit more now compared to when I bought them, but relatively cheap. And then you get into the more expensive style seats like the Halos and all that for more competition style driving. And those will be your Sparcos, your Brides. You can get custom Status seats, which are really cool. You can get a lot of custom stuff. But why bucket, you may ask? What if you want a reclining bucket seat, or you found some cool JDM reclining seats that you just want to have in there because they look good? I know. I love the looks too. It's cool. A bucket seat will really keep you a lot more still. Now if you're looking for more of a street drift car where you can drive it to the track, I could see you wanting to put a reclining bucket seat in there. It's a lot more comfortable and it would suit a lot better for street driving. With that, moving on to number 4. Number 4 will be your hydro and dual caliper brackets. A hydro handbrake is a good tool to have, I'll say. It's not necessary for drifting, but is a phenomenal tool to have. You can use it for initiation. You can use it to scrub speed going into another corner when you transition. You can use it in so many different ways that help you slow down and break the rear end of the car loose. There's multiple different brands of handbrakes, but what it comes down to with a hydro setup, you're going to need your handbrake, you're going to need your master, you're going to need your hydro lines, you're going to need calipers. If you're running dual caliper, you can go inline. That's a different setup. Going straight to your rear brakes and just disconnecting them from the front brakes, you can do that. I personally prefer dual caliper. Keeps things a lot more efficient, but it's your opinion. You do what you want. But then you will also need your brackets, the dual caliper brackets that bolt behind your hub on 350Z specifically. All of this can run a pretty penny. That's why it's not, I wouldn't say it's one of the most important things to do for just trying to get out there for a beginner. It could end up running about $600. I personally run a PBM handbrake with a Welded master cylinder, chase bays, hydro lines with stock 350Z calipers, and Coilovers dual caliper brackets. I will leave links to some of all this stuff in the description if any of you would like to purchase it. And hey, if you're getting value out of this, you know, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to. It helps tremendously. I appreciate that. But let's move on to number 3. Number 3 will be rear arms. Now, a lot of people will want to skip out on this part when they're building a drift car. Me personally, I have no clue why. You're just gonna be wasting money if you do not buy these. Let me tell you, right here, right now, you will be wasting money. If you do not have these rear caliper brackets and you lower your car, you're gonna have natural camber. So what these rear arms do, it allows you to correct that rear camber and get the wheel straight. That way you have even tire wear. If you don't do this, you will be rubbing the inside of the tires and only using half the tread. Yes, you could flip them, but that takes more time when you could just simply correct the camber, even tire wear, and on top of that, you will get tremendous amounts of rear grip compared to not having them. Now on a 350Z, you don't necessarily need all of the arms in the rear. The ones you want to focus on are the rear bucket delete, and yes, bucket delete, that will be getting rid of the spring bucket. I'll get to that in a minute. And then you will want your camber arm. The bucket is technically your toe arm, and the camber arm is underneath. This will allow you to get not only the toe that you want, but your camber corrected so that you get even tire wear and in turn save some of that money. Some brands on that, I personally have Z1 Motorsports rear arms. There's a lot of people that have ISR, Voodoo. You could go baller and get full Wise Fab rear or full GK Tech rear. On a stock powered 350Z, not necessary, but if you got plans for the future, you might want to buck up and go ahead and get the good rear kits. So with that being said, the price range on some of those, it can get a little pricey. A full Z1 rear kit like I have is about 600 bucks, but if you only get the 2 arms, it runs about 500 bucks. You just gotta buy them separately. That's for Z1. I'll leave those linked below. I'm not sure about other brands, but so now we got the final 2, and let me tell you, these are the most important 2 parts for your car. Number 2, that will be your coilovers. Now, a lot of people will say this should be number 1, but I've seen people do it without coilovers. I've seen people drift 350Zs on stock suspension. People can do it, it's not that hard. There's all different types of brands out there. If you're a budget guy, you might want to check out K-Sports like I have. They're relatively cheap sometimes, especially buying them used. You can get some Megan Racing, if you really want to go budget friendly, you could get eBay specials. Do not recommend, but they will work. I've seen it. You just don't get all the adjustability that you'll want later on in the future when you start getting to know how to set up the car. What I run is K-Sports. They're used. I am upgrading this season, but my personal preference is BC Racing. You can get, I think it's the DS series, and those are more of the drift spec. No, that's not what DS stands for, but they are more of the drift spec coilover that you're looking for. They run a little bit more pricey, but they'll be perfect. Or you could just go with their regular BR series coilovers for around $1,000. Those work great. Just please make sure you get true rear coilovers. I cannot express this enough. True rear is what you want. If you do not, you will still have the bucket in the spring, and you're going to want to get rid of that bucket arm and move it to an adjustable arm. So make sure you get true rear coilovers. Check out BC, great company. They support a lot of grassroots and professional drivers. Great company overall, customer service is phenomenal. Check them out and get you some BC coilovers so that you can get out there drifting, get the right low center of gravity that you need for drifting and the right squat. Make sure you get them spring rates right, because you can upgrade to the Swift springs, get custom spring rates. If you're just starting out, I would suggest just keep it simple, buy the basics, and you can upgrade later. Now moving on to the final and most important mod that you can do to your 350Z, and that would be a welded diff. So out there you could use either an LSD or an open diff. Me personally, I run an open diff and I have it welded. What this does is this makes it a locking rear diff. Whenever you're on throttle, both wheels lock aggressively and will spin so that you can initiate into drift. I personally run open. A lot of people will run LSDs. LSDs are a naturally locking diff. What LSD stands for is limited slip differential. So that will spin both wheels. Now, LSD diffs that come in 350Zs are not necessarily the best diffs out there. So I would suggest still welding those. Yes, you can weld an LSD. It's just a little bit different of a process. But trust me, you'll want to weld it if you like the more aggressive bite in the rear wheels. There's a lot of places you can get this done. You could do it yourself if you have a welder. But what you're going to want to do is open it up, open the diff up. You're going to want to empty it out. You're going to want to douse it in brake cleaner, and yes, light it on fire. The reason you want to do this is to clean all of the old oil and all the grime out from the diff, so that it's a clean surface when you go to weld the plates in. On an open diff, it has spider gears that you'll put a little plate down inside, and then you'll weld it to the spider gears. That way it all moves as one. You'll do it on both sides of the spider gears. On an LSD, you don't see the spider gears because it all locks as one. There's these little holes inside, and you basically just dump weld down in those holes, and that's how you weld an LSD. That's it, everybody. I guess we'll recap a little bit. So at number 6, you had your steering wheel. If you want to go budget friendly, I suggest D&D. If not, get you a custom fancy boy at Grip Royal. You got number 5 with the bucket seats. Bucket seats, keep yourself still so that you can keep that car smooth. Now number 4, we had your hydro and dual caliper brackets. If you want to use that hydro, it's a phenomenal tool to have. Get you one in there and you'll be sliding in no time. Number 3 is your rear arms. The rear arm's gonna dial in that camber, get your tire wear even, get you saving that money. That's what we want. And then you got number 2, and that is your coilovers. Get that car low, get the center of gravity right, have your spring rates correct. If you want to go budget, go budget. If not, I suggest good budget quality coilover, BC Racing. Check them out. I'll put the link in the description. Last but not least, your differential. You want to have a locking diff. If you don't have a locking diff, you're going to be one wheel peeling out there, and nobody wants to see that. That's not fun, and it's very hard. If you found value out of this, guys, go ahead and drop a comment down there. Let me know what you learned. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what you want to see next. Hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. We got more videos coming and more progress on the RB25 Swap 350Z. So if you want to see any more of that, stick around. I appreciate it. Stay lost, my friends. So strong enough.